Chapter 3028. Lian Jian supported Yin Geng and walked in front. As if realizing that Tang Gua had not followed, he stopped in his tracks and turned back to call her. It's almost time for the morning reading. Tang Gua carried her bag and hurriedly followed. Lin Manman also followed with a smile. Based on Lin Manman's current behavior, other than her looks and her figure being slightly chubby, the students all felt that Lin Manman was not as annoying as they thought. The original Lin Manman would often reveal an infatuated expression, and many students found her a little disgusting. She also liked to eat all kinds of fried food, and often had her mouth full of oil. The original Lin Manman did not like to be clean. Whether it was summer or winter, she would always have a faint smell on her body, and this was very repulsive. After the transmigrated Lin Manman came over, she first changed her infatuated expression, and then changed her love of eating junk food. Although she did not make any progress in her studies, at least she would not whisper often in class. She even came to run every day, and her clothes were clean and tidy now, so it made people feel less disgusted. Another point was that Lin Manman did not want to be on bad terms with her classmates, so she would show some kindness from time to time, and this was subtly influencing others' views of her. In these 10 days, Lin Manman already had a few friends around her whom she could talk to. Even if there were still no male students who liked her, at least there were very few who showed the same disgust as before. There were still people who hated Lin Manman, but they were not on good terms yet. At least there would be some friction occasionally. It was worth mentioning that the original Lin Manman's grades were very bad, and she sat in the last row. She should have sat with the sleeping god in the last row, but the sleeping god did not seem to like sitting with others. When he slept in class, he would take up the entire table by himself. The original Lin Manman naturally did not dare to sit with the sleeping god. The teacher seemed to understand and let her sit alone. She sat by the window on this side, and the sleeping god sat by the window on the other side. The sleeping god was a male student who slept in class and ran out of the classroom after class. He looked sleepy all day, as if he would never wake up. He was slightly better than Lin Manman. Although he slept the moment class started, he was still able to get into the top 10 every time he took an exam. He didn't make a fuss or disturb the other students, so the teachers couldn't do anything about it. Their class was actually very outstanding. As long as the student union came to check on the discipline, there would be students who would immediately wake up from their sleep. Basically, this sleeping god was still quite respectful. He stayed up until the people from the student union left before crawling back to sleep. Of course, if they were caught, they could only deduct points. Basically, they were all caught by the president of the student council, Lian Jian. Every time it happened, the students in the class would be confused. Therefore, even though this sleeping god was smart, his classmates didn't really like him. Tang Gua also knew that this sleeping god was the piece of gold that Lin Manman had found. It wouldn't be long before Lin Manman and Yin Geng joined the school bulletin board group. When that time came, there would be another bulletin board in the corner of the class. At that time, Lin Manman's seat would be moved to the side of the sleeping god, by Zhan, and the two of them would start to get familiar with each other. Vertex. Chapter 3029. Gradually, Lin Manman realized that the sleeping god, by Zhan, was a shining piece of gold. As for Bai Zhan, he gradually went from hating Lin Manman's nagging to liking her. Lin Manman was elated because she had finally gotten the reward she wanted. She didn't know how long it would take to lose weight and become prettier with the original owner's figure. She estimated that it would take 1 or 2 years for there to be obvious results. After taking this weight loss pill, she would be able to slim down slowly in a few months. She would run every day, giving people the impression that she lost weight through running. No one would suspect anything. She was also afraid that if she suddenly became very thin, wouldn't people think she was a monster? Lin Manman was both happy and a little scared when she thought of the side mission of winning the speech competition against Tang Gua and getting the beauty pill as a reward. It had been 10 days since she transmigrated. Although she understood Tang Gua from the novel and had interacted with Tang Gua, she knew that she had a strange temper and was difficult to get along with. Sometimes, she would be unreasonable and domineering. However, Tangwa was really outstanding in her studies. She didn't miss out on some of her specialties. To let her win against Tangwa, wasn't that just a fool's dream? However, she really needed the beauty pill. She touched her face. She had gotten better recently, and her acne had disappeared. She also slept early, and her skin looked much better. However, because the original owner couldn't maintain good habits, her skin was already very bad. Even if the acne had healed, there would still be some scary big pores on her skin, which would affect her senses. Also, because of staying up late, she had heavy dark circles under her eyes. It was impossible for her skin to be smooth, not to mention her skin as white as a freshly peeled egg. Thus, she had to get the beauty pill. Tangwa felt that Lin Man was staring at the back of her head from time to time. She was probably thinking about how to win the speech competition. In the original plot, Lin Man had indeed won. It wasn't that the original owner didn't have the ability. It was the mechanism of the speech competition that allowed Lin Man to win. The real Lin Man didn't participate in the speech competition. Even if she did, she would probably be like this Lin Man. She would have to find another way to obtain victory under such a system that was beneficial to her. This was because the scoring mechanism of this speech competition was based on the evaluation of the judges and the school forum. The main purpose of this was to let all the students become more active through this kind of thing. In order to win, Lin Man had indeed displayed her intelligence for a long time and won the hearts of all the students. Although the host was intelligent and her speech wasn't bad. But with Lin Man's method, coupled with the fact that the students did not like her that much, the final evaluation was naturally given to Lin Man's humorous speech without any hesitation. Even though the content was slightly lacking, the students still preferred Lin Man's speech. With the original host's character, it was impossible for her to give a speech in Lin Man's style. The theme she had prepared was more serious, and the judges liked it. However, in the eyes of the students, it was not as likable as Lin Man's. Moreover, during this period, Lin Man had actively participated in various activities. She was very easygoing and had a great advantage on the board. Vertex. Chapter 30. Many classes would even ask Lin Man to help draw a small corner, which helped her gain a lot of popularity. These were all Lin Man's abilities. Tangwa did not think much of it. Wasn't winning based on one's ability? Lin Man could win because the other party was good. However, things had not happened yet. She also wanted to win. However, with her current persona, no matter how good her speech was, she might score very low in the votes of her classmates. She did not intend to change her persona. She could not get along well with everyone just for a speech. Also, Lin Man had read part of the original book. It was easy to arouse suspicion. Then, she could only find another way. Almost every day after lunch, Tangwa and Yin Gung would go to the library. Lian Jian would also be at a closer spot. At first, Lian Jian did not seem to notice them. Later on, Lian Jian would look up and greet her. Now, after the last class in the morning, Lian Jian would ask seriously, "Student Tangwa, do you want to go to the library to study at noon?" System, yes. Yes. See you later. Lian Jian was about to walk out, but seeing that Yin Gung was already in front of Tangwa, he walked back. Student Yin Gung, Student Tangwa, since we go to the library to study every day, why don't we go to the cafeteria to eat together, and then go to the library together? Yin Gung wanted to refuse, but Lian Jian had already walked over. Your legs have been a little inconvenient recently. It's not good for you to move. Why don't you wait in the classroom? I'll get some food with Student Tangwa and bring you some. After eating, we'll go to the library. Lian Jian had said all the reasons. If Yin Gung refused, it would seem like he was not giving him face. He thought that Lian Jian was so enthusiastic about getting food for him. As a student president, he must have a good relationship with all the students. When the time came, it would be easy to get along with him. When everyone was familiar with him, it would be easy to command them when assigning tasks. Other than completing the tasks assigned by the teacher seriously, assigning tasks to the other members, and helping the other students, Lian Jian usually did not chat with others. Whatever he did, he had a serious expression on his face. He looked like an old cadre. Recently, Yan Geng's legs were very inconvenient. He really didn't want to go to the cafeteria to squeeze in. Even if he had the help of his brothers, those few brats were very rough. Speaking of which, student Lian Jian, the student president, was more attentive. In that case, he would not embarrass the other party and agree. He didn't think that Lian Jian would do all this for any other purpose other than to build a good relationship with him. Weren't all student leaders the kind of people who were proactive? Just like that, Tang Guo followed Lian Jian to the canteen. Yan Geng was ordered to stay in the classroom to recuperate. System. Host, are you lucky to have done this? Now you know why I want to be the president of the student union, right? She chased her love rival away in the name of taking care of her classmate. I don't think he understood why he did that. Even if he doesn't understand now, he will understand in the future. Host, don't be anxious. Anyway, if you're with Yan Geng now, he will appear out of nowhere like a ghost. Since Yan Geng's legs are not good, he has even more excuses. The moment he came, he asked if Yan Geng's legs were better. Would there be any problems with the next league? The peak. Chapter 30-31. The system snorted. In the end, he even acted like an old veteran and told him to take care of his injuries. He completely confused him and didn't even mention you. Who knows what he's thinking? Great host, look at Yan Geng. Does he think that Lian Jian just wants to build a good relationship with him? Is he concerned about him because he's the backbone of the school's basketball team and is afraid that he won't be able to play? Tang Guo nodded lightly. That seems to be the case. This guy, isn't he in line with great host's preferences? You've been talking a lot lately. Are you lonely? Have you asked 111 and 222 if there are any girls in the Spacetime Bureau? You can ask them to introduce you to 2 girls. Anyway, you can contact each other through email and chat occasionally. You can also have an online relationship to relieve your loneliness. I won't object to it. We have to get along well. If we can get out in the future, we'll meet the female systems in the Spacetime Bureau. Great host. Didn't you say that you wanted me to help you check if there are any large-scale speech competitions in the city? I've already checked and found a few of them. Some of them are even on TV. Currently, I'm mainly checking these few TV speech programs for you. When the time comes, I'll pick the best one for you. The system quickly changed the topic. I'm busy helping Great Host every day. I don't have time to think about other things. Great host, just take care of yourself. I'm already a very mature system. I'm living a fulfilling life every day. I'm not lonely at all. Forget about chatting with the female system. When the time came, it would call him Big Brother Little Tongzi. His entire system wouldn't be able to accept that. If the female system was too fierce, he wouldn't be able to beat it up. That would make him seem like an unmanly system. Without capacity, wouldn't he be looking for trouble? Forget it, forget it. If he really wanted to chat, he would rather chat with 222. That fellow was serious and honest. He would tell him about the recent happenings in the Spacetime Bureau. Even if that didn't work, chatting with 111 would be good. He would feel a sense of accomplishment if he could exchange a few words with 111 and mess up the other party's data. He just didn't know when he would be able to meet him again and beat up that arrogant 111. If it was a female system, he wouldn't do it. When they reached the cafeteria, Tang Guo wanted to line up for food, but was stopped by Lian Jian. Student Tang Guo, just stand aside. I'll go line. You're a female student. Leave this kind of thing to me. You definitely won't be able to stand it. In the end, he added, the teacher often tells us to care for and help our female classmates. Tang Guo didn't refute. Since someone was helping her get food, and it was her favorite food, she certainly wouldn't refuse. He stood by the side of the team and waited for Lian Jian to finish his game. Then he hurriedly took over. Finally, Tang Guo and Lian Jian, she and Lian Jian and Lian to the classroom. The 3 were in their seats. Tea. Of course. Lin Man also finished eating and came back. She didn't want to bother with Yan Geng. After all, the main mission had been completed. Peak. Chapter 30-32. But today, there was another main mission. She had to join the school's bulletin board team with Yin Gung. She had some foundation in art and had studied art before. Compared to other students, she would definitely draw better. Joining the bulletin board team was not a problem at all. If not for the tempting reward of the main mission, she would have rejected it. Moreover, she knew that she could not give up on the main mission. She had to complete it for the next main mission to appear. As for the side mission, when the time was up and she could not complete it, she would skip it and other side missions would appear. It was not that serious. After coming to this book world, the only thing she could rely on was this rigid system. The main mission was not particularly difficult. It was just to join the bulletin board team. She decided to do it. Hence, she brought a bottle of water for Yin Gung today. Yin Gung was about to borrow a cup of water. His mouth was probably a little dry after eating. He was too embarrassed to ask Tang Gua to get the water for him. Lin Man walked in at that moment. When she saw him, she passed him a bottle of water. "You look a little thirsty. I'll give it to you." Yin Gung wanted to reject her. But Lin Man had already walked to the last seat in the classroom and sat down. Because of this, Yin Gung felt that Lin Man was not as annoying as he thought. He must have heard Lin Man's words from others, and fell into the trap of being the master. Thinking back, he had mocked Lin Man in his heart, and felt a little apologetic. When Lin Man knew that Yin Gung had a better impression of her, her lips curled in disdain. Wasn't he disgusted with her previously? Just because she helped him twice and gave him a bottle of water, he changed his mind. Anyway, she had always despised Yin Gung. This should have something to do with the original owner's experience. After lunch, Tang Gua and the other two went to the library. Lin Man also went because of the main mission. The four of them sat around the desk. Lin Man did not read any books about learning. Instead, she read some essays. Students usually did not read books like that. Yin Gung noticed it, and even took the initiative to ask her. The two of them started chatting. Tang Gua, on the other hand, was reading a book while doing practice questions. Lianjian was similar to Tang Gua. He was reading mathematics books. There was a collection of advanced mathematics books, and some mathematics reference books. Tang Gua only took a glance before retracting her gaze. She casually said, "The first year of high school has just started, and you're already in the second year? I just want to take a look," Lian Jian said seriously. "I want to familiarize myself with the teaching materials, so that I won't feel so unfamiliar the next time I flip through them." He couldn't possibly say that he was naturally fond of mathematics, and felt comfortable just by looking at it. There were even some types of questions that he could understand just by looking at them. Classmate Tang Gua was so good in her studies and was so serious. If she said that, wouldn't it give others a feeling of showing off? Lin Man realized that something was amiss. She looked at Yin Gung, who was chatting with her, and then at Tang Gua, who was flipping through her books and doing her homework. Then she looked at Lian Jian, who was flipping through the senior textbooks. She was finally certain that it was her appearance that had caused the development between men and women to stagnate. Although it was a little unkind, when she thought of how Tang Gua acted in front of Yin Gung in the novel, made all kinds of trouble, and had all kinds of suspicions, she felt that this development was good. Didn't they not start yet? After they broke up, without this troublemaker Tang Gua, Yin Gung's life would be much more relaxed. If he knew, he would probably thank her. After school, Tang Gua heard that the system had already selected a good speech competition program for her. It was a round-robin competition. As long as she reached the end of the competition, she would be able to go on television. Tang Gua looked at the information and let the system register for her. On the third day at school, the form teacher indeed announced to the class that the school was organizing a speech competition and hoped that everyone would participate enthusiastically. The school's speech competition was only a round to determine the winner and loser. The one that Tang Gua was participating in was the local one, the provincial one, and the last one would be able to go on television. It sounded a little more advanced. By doing this, she completely avoided Lin Man's humorous speech style and obtained an alternative route from her classmates. At the same time, she wouldn't be judged as losing by the system just because she gave up on the speech competition. She was going to go on television. If there were more professional judges, and they were from the academic world, that would be something to be proud of. Also, the Tang couple from the family didn't put in any effort to nurture her. Then she had to shine well and blind their dog eyes. She had to let them understand that even if they didn't nurture her, she wasn't someone that could be compared to the illegitimate child they had with their true love. You said that you've already signed up for a speech competition by a program team? The form teacher was very surprised. Then you won't be able to participate in the school's event. Which program team is it? After Tangwa said the name, the form teacher was a little excited. Okay, since you've already signed up, then prepare well and strive to break through. When the time comes and you're on television, that's something that will bring glory to the school. I'll tell the school about this. Peak. Chapter 30-33. When Tangwa returned to the classroom, Yin Gung asked her. The form teacher asked you to go over. Is it about the speech competition? Actually, before entering high school, the original owner of the body was already known by many students in the city. Not only did she have good grades, but she also participated in some competitions. Although she didn't always get first place, she wouldn't be in the top 3. Especially this kind of school speech competition. The original owner of the body had participated in it countless times in junior high. Although the students in the class thought that Tangwa had a weird temper and wasn't easy to get along with, they still thought that she was an outstanding and capable person. It was just that she didn't give people a good attitude and made it hard to get along with her. Yes. Then you'll have to spend some time preparing. Are you still going to the library in the afternoon? Yes, I can only prepare for the speech competition at home. The library might not be enough. At most, I'll do some research. Tangwa told him the truth. Because the competition is divided into rounds, and it's a speech competition organized by the program team. The contestants must have the ability to improvise and give an off-script speech. Speaking of which, the task was very important. Just in terms of the theme, she had to prepare well. She had to choose at least 10 topics and write 10 speeches. After all, there were many talented people in the country who could speak and give speeches. She would never underestimate these people and had to prepare seriously. Since she was going to give a speech, she had to aim for first place. Okay, then I hope you can get a good ranking, Yin Gung added. I hope you can get first place. Tangwa nodded and returned to her seat. Lin Man was sitting not far away and playing with a female classmate. When she heard Yin Gung's words, her attention was drawn over. Just like in the original plot, Tangwa was going to take part in this speech competition. Thinking about how outstanding Tangwa was, Lin Man felt a little dejected. Although she didn't like her and felt that she had a weird temper and was a little arrogant, as if she looked down on everyone. However, he was indeed very talented. Just being at the top of the list was something that she could only look up to. She remembered that every time she went to the toilet and came out to wash her hands, she would inadvertently look at her face in the mirror and feel unhappy. Lin Man's original face had grown pimples for so many years, and her living habits were not good. Even if she started to change now and used all kinds of skincare products and beauty treatments in the future, there was no way for her skin to recover completely. Some injuries on the skin were simply irreversible. Therefore, she had to find a way to complete this side mission. In that case, what should she do to win over Tangwa? Tangwa is going to take part in the speech competition. This time it's going to be her. The female classmate sitting beside Lin Man said. At that time, I was in my second year of junior high school. Tangwa was invited to our school to give a speech. Many seniors couldn't beat her. Yeah, Tangwa has participated in various speech competitions in the city. I heard that she prepared her own speech scripts. The more she heard from her female classmates, the more uncertain Lin Man felt. But she really wanted to get the beauty pill. So powerful? I was so focused on eating and drinking that I didn't notice this at all. Then, is there a video of the previous speech? Lin Man asked. Actually, I want to take part in the speech competition too. I don't want to get a good ranking. I just want to go up and train my courage. Peak. Chapter 30-34. These female classmates had a good relationship with Lin Man Man. Previously, Lin Man Man had bad habits and did not pay attention to her image, so she was a little sloppy. Now Lin Man Man was dressed neatly and spoke well. She would not steal the limelight if she stood beside them. Hence, most of the girls were more friendly to Lin Man Man. Hearing that she was going to take part in a speech competition, all of them were more enthusiastic. There should be videos. After all, the speech competitions that Tangwa participated in back then were quite big. If you want to find the videos, you should be able to find them. A few female classmates were talking at once. Yin Gung happened to limp to the back to throw the rubbish, and heard their discussion. You want to take part in a speech competition too? Yin Gung's impression of Lin Man Man had changed. Although this female classmate was not that good looking, she was very kind and easy to get along with. As for his previous impression, he felt that he had been misled by others. Yeah, I haven't given a speech before. I heard that Tangwa is very outstanding. I want to see the videos of her speeches in the past. Yin Gung nodded. I should be able to help you find them. I'll bring them to you next week. Yin Gung's family background was not bad. If he said that he could find them, he would definitely be able to find them. Are you a little embarrassed? Lin Man Man was actually a little happy. She did not expect that because of her kindness, she would be of great help to herself. Actually, she wanted to watch Tangwa's speech competition not to learn from her, but to analyze the strengths of Tangwa's speeches. It was said that the speech competition this time was a little different from the previous ones. Besides the judging system, there was also a voting system for the students. It was basically 50-50. As for the judges, she did not expect to surpass Tangwa. But as for the students, she could still think of various ways. No matter what method she came up with, she still had to have a certain level of ability first. After analyzing Tangwa's strengths, she would then avoid these. After all, she would not be able to surpass Tangwa in such a short period of time. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. Just take it as repayment for your help previously. If it wasn't for your help that morning, it would have been very troublesome. That's all. I'll bring it to you next Monday. After all, it was very early, and there were few people. He was basically the only one at the basketball court. Her phone had been left in the classroom. Luckily, Lin Man Man had found it. Otherwise, it would have been troublesome. I won't stand on ceremony then. Lin Man Man didn't reject him. After all, she really needed it. There were still close to 2 months until the speech competition. After all, they needed to make preparations. The school had informed them in advance. It was impossible to write a draft in 2 or 3 days. When the time came for the speech, the effect might not be too good. Dear host, this Lin Man Man is quite smart. Speaking of which, every time he met a transmigrator, there was no lack of smart people. Actually, as long as they didn't offend Madam Host wouldn't deliberately make things difficult for them. For people like Lin Man Man who thought of the right way to win the competition, didn't Great Host not use any special methods to deal with them? Using the host's words, it was up to each person's ability. Whoever won would have the ability. If anyone used a dirty trick, then everyone would use a dirty trick together. Yes, Tangwa responded. She was not at all concerned about what Lin Man Man was going to do next. After all, she was not going to participate in the school's speech competition. Previously, she had even told her homeroom teacher not to reveal that she was going to participate in the television program's speech competition. She did not want to cause too much of a commotion and affect her reputation. Vertex. Chapter 30-35. She could say whatever she wanted when she got a ranking. Regarding this, the system felt that its host was too sinister. The homeroom teacher would definitely listen to Tangwa and would not go around spreading the news. He was sure that Tangwa would be able to get good results when the time came. When she got good results and announced it, it would definitely surprise everyone. At that time, he would be able to be in the limelight again and see what the next class could use to compete with him. If it was announced in advance, and she did not get a ranking, there would definitely be all kinds of rumors outside. It would affect student Tangwa's performance, and that would not be good. When people asked if Tangwa was going to a speech competition, He had already thought about it. He said that she was going to participate in a speech competition and was preparing for it. As for where she was going to participate in the speech competition, if he did not say much, the other party would only think that it was a school speech competition. Calculating the time, when Tangwa entered the finals and went on the TV program, it would be about the time of their school's speech competition. Then student Tangwa's time was still a little tight. He hoped that she had done a lot of preparation beforehand. After all, the program team would definitely not wait for her alone. Tangwa did not know that her homeroom teacher had been imagining a lot of things in the office alone. When he thought of this, he laughed happily. Student Tangwa is going to participate in the speech competition? Lianjian recently noticed that Tangwa was reading some books about speech. Even if she was reading these books in the library, he was not worried that Tangwa's results would be problematic. Because last time, he accidentally saw a question and discussed it with Tangwa. She actually knew how to do it. What he did not say was that the question was for Year 3. Therefore, student Tangwa had already read the textbooks for Year 3. Yes. Lianjian nodded. Then I wish you a good ranking. I've seen the video of your speech before. It was really good and could stir up people's emotions. However, it's high school now, and the school is full of talents. If you want to get first place, you still can't let your guard down. I've seen some programs for the speech competition before. I recommend you to watch it. You can learn from each other's strengths to make up for your weaknesses. As Lianjian spoke, he wrote the names of a few programs in his notebook. There should be nothing wrong with classmates helping each other. Lianjian comforted himself like this with a clear conscience. In the afternoon, I will be checking the discipline of each class. After that, Lianjian said something else. He gently pushed his glasses up and said to Tangwa with a straight face, "Don't throw the note later." The students sitting next to Lianjian were speechless. They didn't know when Lianjian had changed. Previously, he had gone out secretly to check the discipline of the class. Then he came back with a small notebook and his little followers. He focused on checking the sleeping by Jean in the class. If the god of sleep didn't have anyone to remind him, he would definitely lose points. He didn't know when Lianjian had changed. Now, when he went to check the rules with a small booklet, he actually had to remind classmate Tangwa that she was not allowed to pass around small notes. Lianjian's classmate had a good relationship with Baijan. Among them, he had the best grades. Actually, Baijan could have sat in the front, but he was a sleeper. The teacher could not control him, so he could only be thrown to the last row. He hurriedly passed the news to his brothers, saying that Lianjian would come over with the little guys from the student union to check the discipline later. Remember to remind them to remind Baijan. After the lunch break, Lianjian went out with a small booklet. He lowered his head and whispered to Tangwa, "They'll be here in a while. Don't pass around small notes." The Peak. Chapter 30-36. Tangwa nodded, and Lianjian left with a peace of mind. The male student sitting on the other side of Lianjian looked as if he had seen a ghost. He hurriedly turned around and greeted his friends, telling them to call Big Brother Sleeping God later, in case Lianjian, who was heartless and secretly opened a back door for a female student, got his marks deducted. He could tell that the serious Lianjian was actually not that upright and outspoken. After a while, Lianjian walked past the classroom with a serious face, and a small group of followers from the student union, with a small notebook in their hands. Baijan had already been woken up. He looked forward with sleepy eyes. He was giving face to his underling. He didn't expect that on Monday, his ranking would be placed on the small blackboard. If he accumulated too many marks, he would have to go on stage to give a speech. It was so annoying. Hence, he could only reluctantly cooperate. Tangwa did not wear the small note. She had been reading very seriously. Seeing that she was so obedient, Lianjian nodded in satisfaction and led his underlings to the classroom in front. The students in the class saw that Lianjian and his underlings had left and heaved a sigh of relief. "Boss, it's okay. Go to sleep." When Baijan heard that, he fell asleep on the table with a thud. This attracted Lin Manman's attention. In the book, there was no mention of Baijan. He probably didn't have a deep relationship with the male and female leads. She had observed him for a few days. He ran out after class and came back to sleep after class. It was really strange that there was such a student in the elite class. His family background was probably not bad. He didn't study, but his grades were above average. He must be smart. As if he felt Lin Manman's attention, Baijan suddenly opened his eyes. He didn't look sleepy at all. Instead, he looked at her coldly. Lin Manman was so scared that she trembled and quickly patted her chest. In her heart, she felt that Baijan was not simple. Tangua's performance was very good, Lian Jian said to Tangua when he came back. Tangua glanced at him. It's class time. Don't whisper. Lian Jian's expression suddenly looked like he was about to break down. He wanted to say something, but seeing her serious expression, he swallowed his words. At this moment, he felt as if he had lifted a rock and smashed it on his own feet. The student next to him. During the entire class, Tangua realized that Lian Jian really wanted to communicate with her. But because of the previous incident, every time he wanted to say something, he swallowed it back down. System. This fellow is about to be suffocated to death by the host. When the class was over and Lian Jian wanted to talk to Tangua, Tangua immediately stood up and ran to the washroom. Lian Jian waited and waited. He did not expect that Tangua would not come back until class started. He could not talk to her again. When class finally ended, Tangua was called away by her homeroom teacher to ask her about her preparation for the speech competition. After all, it had been a few days, and he needed to know the progress. Lian Jian. I'll be participating in the district tournament this weekend. Is it scheduled for the weekend? Yes, so you won't miss class. The homeroom teacher was very satisfied. That's good. If you have to miss class, you have to apply for leave in advance. Even if you have to participate in the competition, you can't fall behind in your homework. The speech competition is secondary. The most important thing is still your grades. Teacher, don't worry. I won't affect my grades. How are your preparations? Are you confident about the district tournament? Peak. Chapter 30-37. Tangua said confidently, yes, I should be able to get first place. She had put in a lot of effort to prepare for this recently. If she couldn't get first place, her transmigration days would be in vain. Tangua was so confident that the homeroom teacher was also very happy. Then I'll wait for your good news. Don't worry, I've already talked to you about this matter. Before it goes on TV, we won't talk about it so as not to affect you. Just prepare well. Okay, thank you, teacher. Class is about to start. Go back. Tangua went back. The teacher looked at her back view with more and more satisfaction. Although in the eyes of the students, Tangua was a little difficult to get along with. But this student was very outstanding. It was inevitable for people with some talent to be a little arrogant. Besides, Tangua wouldn't find trouble with others for no reason. Lian Jian finally waited for Tangua to return to the classroom. Just as he was about to say something to her, the class bell rang. Tangua gave him a sweet smile. Lian Jian swallowed the words at the tip of his tongue and silently opened the book for this lesson. But from the corner of his eye, he glanced at Tangua. Seeing her relaxed and happy face, he wasn't angry anymore. Forget it. It was fine as long as Tangua was happy. Previously, he felt that Tangua had a kind of lifeless aura that no one could get close to. After getting familiar with her recently, he felt that she seemed to be changing. That lifeless aura was basically gone, even if her temper was still not easy to get along with. In any case, she didn't show any good attitude to other students. She was more indifferent. But recently, Tangua had become addicted to bullying him. Was it because of this that she felt happy? Lian Jian fell into deep thought. If she could be happier, bullying him a little was nothing. The teacher said that he should give in to female students no matter what he did. After school in the afternoon, Lian Jian finally had a chance to talk to Tangua. Moreover, the two of them were on duty, which was to clean the classroom. When most of the students had left, Lian Jian gave Tangua a mask. Even if you sprinkle water, there's a lot of dust. Wear it. After Tangua puts on the mask, Lian Jian asks her to go out for a while. I'll sprinkle the water first, and then you come in and sweep the floor. How about I wipe the blackboard? Tang Guo was about to walk to the blackboard when she was stopped by Lian Jian. There's a lot of powder. You can just sweep the floor. Then should I clean the windows? Female students should stay away from cold water. The biology teacher said so last time. Lian Jian looked at Tang Guo seriously. He really looked like a serious old cadre. The water in our school is from the well in the mountain behind the school. It's very cold. In the end, Tang Guo took the broom and waited at the door. Lian Jian quickly sprinkled the water and wiped the blackboard clean. Finally, he let Tang Guo in to sweep the floor. You sweep from that side, I'll sweep from this side, Lian Jian instructed. Tang Guo didn't retort. She had bullied him for the whole afternoon, so she might as well let him do it this time, lest he got sick from holding it in. She was talking so much about cleaning. Her character had really sunk to the bottom. She must have almost suffocated. System, so you still know? She ran outside right after class. Every time she wanted to say something, she would swallow it back. Anyone would feel uncomfortable if they were in her shoes. Lian Jian's movements were very fast. Tang Guo had only swept a small part of the blackboard when he was almost done. Therefore, this cleaning was basically done by Lian Jian. Student Lian Jian, you're doing all the work. How embarrassing. System, host character. Pay attention to your character. Collapse. What are you laughing at? Lian Jian also noticed that Tang Guo's smile was sweet and happy. He had never seen her smile so happily before. It's normal for boys to take on more responsibilities. Moreover, I'm a cadre. The two of them walked out of the school gate together. Tang Guo bought a bottle of ice water for Lian Jian at a nearby convenience store. The weather is still a little hot. Drink some ice water. She stuffed the bottle of water into Lian Jian's hands. Without giving him a chance to speak, she got into the car. Lian Jian swallowed back the words he wanted to say. All he could do was hold on to the ice-cold pillow and watch the car drive away. Peak. Chapter 30-38. Tang Guo and Lin Manman were both preparing for the speech competition. However, one of them was going to participate in the speech competition organized by the television program, while the other was going to participate in the speech competition organized by the school. When Lin Manman was doing her homework, she basically found something that Tang Guo lacked, and that everyone liked from Tang Guo's original videos. Only by doing this specifically could she possibly win in the end. Tang Guo had been reading some books about speech recently, and Lin Manman was very clear about it. Hence, she was especially serious when preparing for this. She had lost a lot of weight recently. When she weighed herself previously, she was 20 kilograms lighter than before. Although 20 kilograms was nothing to her, she would definitely be able to regain her slim figure within a year if she lost 20 kilograms in such a short time. It was just that when she looked in the mirror every day, she saw her damaged skin and the dark circles under her eyes. This made her a little unhappy. This body was not considered good-looking and could only be considered average. She had to take the side mission to get the beauty pill to save her life. If she could not complete the side mission, she did not know when she would be able to get the beauty pill again. Even if she lost weight, if her skin was not good and her face was not beautiful, her image would be greatly reduced. During this period, Yen Geng was invited to join the school's bulletin board team. This was suggested by the form teacher. Yen Geng was good at drawing. His previous school was a junior high school affiliated to this high school. He had participated in an art competition organized by the school and obtained outstanding results. Of course, the form teacher would not let go of a student with such skills. In his opinion, every talented student in the class should be given a chance to show off their strengths. Coincidentally, Yen Geng had injured his leg previously and needed to rest for a while. He could not play basketball and was indeed a little bored, so he agreed. Because of the main mission, Lin Manman also applied to join. She expressed that she had a certain level of art foundation and hoped to have a chance to show off her skills. The form teacher was, of course, very happy to see such a proactive student. This Lin Manman had changed a lot since school started. Not only did she want to participate in the speech competition, but she also wanted to join the school's bulletin board team. She felt that she could give it a try. Even if Lin Manman's art foundation was not good, she could still be an assistant. The main reason was that Lin Man was more proactive. This was an elite class, and most students were more willing to spend their free time on their studies. With Lin Man joining in, she could also take care of Yen Gung, whose leg was inconvenient. Naturally, Lin Man's table had to be moved. Her original position had to be used as a corner for the bulletin board and some tools. With this move, he moved to a place not far from Baijan. Baijan just glanced at it and ignored it. He continued to sleep in class and slipped out from the back door to play. It had been a few days since Lin Man moved in next door to him, but the two of them hadn't spoken at all. Tanggua, I won't go to the library after lunch. After school at noon, Yen Gung said to Tanggua, I'm going to draw the bulletin board later. There were a lot of places where the school needed to draw posters, and he had to contribute to many of them. Is that so? Tanggua looked up at Yen Gung and nodded. Okay, then I'll go alone. Lian Jian, who was standing behind Tanggua, gently pushed up his black-rimmed glasses. Why did she go there alone? Was he not human? Vertex. Chapter 30-39. Perhaps it was out of habit, but recently Lian Jian and Tanggua went to the cafeteria together to get food every day. Lian Jian queued up to get food, and Tanggua stood at the side to receive it. They brought it back to the classroom to eat, and also brought a portion for Yen Gung. In Lian Jian's words, as the president of the student council, he had to take care of the weaker students in the class. Wasn't it just helping to get food for lunch every day? It was just a matter of convenience. He didn't find it troublesome at all. Yen Gung felt a little apologetic, but Lian Jian would comfort him like this every time. This is what a classmate should do. Student Yen Gung, you just need to take care of your legs and strive to get good results in the basketball league. Alright, Yen Gung understood. To this old cadre of the student council, he actually just wanted to get good results during the basketball league. Hence, he didn't reject him. He silently swore in his heart that he would play well during the basketball league. Otherwise, he would be letting down Lian Jian's care. Lin Man's appearance didn't just cause the relationship between Tanggua and Yen Gung to stop. It was also Lian Jian's appearance that caused Yen Gung to lose his previous thoughts. Originally, he and Tanggua had just gotten familiar with each other. Now that so many things had happened, and there were two super big light bulbs, it would be strange if they didn't have time to interact alone. Lin Man was conscious, but Lian Jian was unconscious. From this day onwards, Yen Gung didn't go to the library much. Occasionally he would go, but not long after, he would be called away by Lin Man and be busy with the bulletin board. In the end, the person getting food for Yen Gung became Lin Man. But Lian Jian and Tanggua still went to the cafeteria to eat every day. But they didn't help Yen Gung get food, nor did they bring it to the classroom to eat. Yen Gung and Lin Man, on the other hand, were closer. The two of them got along like brothers. At least, that was what the outside world thought. But only Yen Gung could feel Lin Man's attentiveness and patience towards him. Unknowingly, he actually developed a different kind of good impression of Lin Man. Because Tanggua and Yen Gung had never started dating, there was no conflict between them. Tanggua didn't want to ruin her image, but she also didn't want Yen Gung and Lin Man to ruin her image and make her seem like a shrew in the eyes of her classmates. Now that they had nothing to do with each other, at most, she was just not easy to get along with. Her personality was a little arrogant, and her words were a little harsh. As for the rest, there was nothing wrong with it. If she maintained her excellent results and won more awards, everyone would be more tolerant of people like her. Classmate Tanggua, are you preparing for the school's speech competition? On this day, Lian Jian and Tanggua went to the canteen to eat together. In fact, they didn't talk much. He didn't know if Tanggua did it on purpose, but every time before class, Lian Jian would have the urge to talk. As a result, as soon as the bell rang, all the words he wanted to say were swallowed back down. He didn't even hold it in for the whole class. He held it in for the whole morning or the whole afternoon. He didn't know if classmate Tanggua drank too much water and ran to the toilet after class, or if there was something wrong with her body. He heard that frequent urination wasn't a good thing. Lian Jian felt that there was something wrong with him thinking about these things. Peak. Chapter 30-40. When he came back to his senses, he saw that Tang Guo was staring at him. Lian Jian's expression returned to normal. I saw that you prepared a lot of speech scripts. I didn't read them secretly. I saw them by accident. I saw them with a glance. System. I think he wants to say that the speech scripts moved first. Tang Guo pursed her lips and smiled. Although it was just a flash, Lian Jian saw it clearly. Actually, you're much easier to get along with when you smile. Tang Guo looked up and asked coldly. Are you saying that I'm not easy to get along with? System. Really, don't tease me like that. I've been teased so much recently. Doesn't your conscience hurt? Lian Jian. Lian Jian. I think you're easy to get along with. Then why did you say that I'm easy to get along with when I smile? Aren't you saying that I'm not easy to get along with? Lian Jian. When you're being unreasonable, you're still a little hard to get along with. Classmate Tang Guo. Where are you going to participate in the speech competition? Lian Jian changed the topic. We're at the cafeteria. I'll line up to get food. You go get a seat. Tang Guo didn't continue to probe, and really went to find a seat. System. He must think that he's very smart. In reality, it's just that the host doesn't want to make things difficult for him. Tang Guo, flatterer. Tang Guo found a good seat. Soon Lian Jian came over with 2 plates. Tang Guo had already taken their chopsticks. Then the 2 of them ate in silence. They didn't continue the previous topic. After lunch, they went to the library to study as if they were already used to this. When it was almost time for class, they returned to the classroom. Classmate Lian Jian, you have to explain what you meant by what you said before. Tang Guo asked in a low voice. Lian Jian was in no hurry to answer. If he guessed correctly, the bell would ring when he opened his mouth. Sure enough, after 2 seconds the bell rang. A smile appeared on his lips. His serious expression from before was somewhat ruined. When Tang Guo saw that the other party seemed to have expected it, and did not fall for it, she instantly felt that it was meaningless. This person had learned to be smart. Lian Jian secretly glanced at Tang Guo out of the corner of his eye, and saw her burying her head in a book. In fact, he did have the urge to talk to her and even write a note. However, as a member of the student council, he could not do that. It would set a bad example for the other students. Although he was a little anxious on the inside, he appeared very calm on the surface. Now he kind of understood why his classmates liked to whisper in class and pass notes around for fun. It turned out that it was really fun. When the class was over, Tang Guo did not wait for Lian Jian to say a word. She got up and went to the bathroom, not giving him a chance to speak at all. For the entire afternoon, she wanted him to suffocate to death and pretend to be serious in front of her. When she came back, the bell hadn't rung yet. Lian Jian pushed a small notebook to her with a sentence written on it. Classmate Tang Guo, do you want to see a doctor? You go to the toilet almost every class. I don't think it's normal. If it weren't for the fact that this was a female classmate, he would have said that frequent urination might be a sign of poor kidneys. He wanted her to go to the hospital for a checkup. Tang Guo, system silly. You'll lose your girlfriend like this. Tang Guo looked at Lian Jian's serious face and scribbled a sentence on the notebook. I'm afraid of going to the hospital. When Lian Jian saw this sentence, his heart sank. Could it be that classmate Tang Guo's health was really not good? How about I go with you after school? The peak. For example, he was used to buying a bottle of orange juice from the convenience store after he went out and handed it to her when he returned to the classroom. Also, every time they went to the cafeteria together, he liked to order food for the 2 of them. So he was very used to asking her to take the seat. The more he thought about it, the more serious Lian Jian's expression became. He sat in the car, deep in thought, and an image appeared in his mind. Most of the time, he and the dean would go to the more remote woods in the school and chase away the young couples who were secretly holding hands and kissing each other. Student Lian Jian, are you sick? Your cheeks look a little red. Before Lian Jian could react, a soft little hand was placed on his face. It was fine if she didn't touch it, but this touch made his face even hotter. Student Lian Jian, do you have a fever? Why didn't you get a checkup just now? Let's go back and have a checkup. The Peak. Chapter 3042. Lian Jian tried his best to calm his pounding heart and tried to get rid of the heat on his face. He said seriously, "I'm fine. I'm not sick. It's probably caused by the lack of oxygen. I'll be fine after opening the window." As he spoke, he rolled down the car window. The wind blew in and blew away the heat from his body. Lian Jian said confidently, "I'm fine now." "Are you really fine?" Tang Guo blinked. She didn't want to maintain her persona in front of such a cute boy. She might as well just give up and touch him. Therefore, she reached out her hand and touched Lian Jian's forehead with a smile. "Let me touch it." Lian Jian was speechless. This wasn't called touching. This was called asking a question. The word touch couldn't be used carelessly. He didn't know if it was an illusion or not, but he felt that at this moment, Tang Guo changed even more. She was like the grandmother in the story of Little Red Riding Hood. She finally took off her mask and turned into a wolf. Pfft! It wasn't good to think of a girl like that. The system was speechless. It opened its mail and sent messages to 111 and 222. "Let me tell you something. I'm eating dog food again." At first, the host told me that she had to maintain her persona. I thought she would be able to maintain it for a while. I didn't expect her to only maintain it for a while. She started to spread dog food without warning. As a system, it's really hard for me. Coincidentally, 111 and 222 were free. They quickly replied to the messages. 111. Why don't you do some damage? Sow discord in front of your host. Then she won't be able to spread dog food. This problem needs to be solved from the root. The system looked. If it had a mouth, it would be crooked. 111. I didn't expect you to be like this. You're really stupid and bad. We'll break off relations for an hour. 111. Break off relations for 2 hours if you dare. On the other side, 222 replied. Boss, your host is actually not bad. Isn't it good to see more dog food? When the system heard this, it knew that there was a situation on 222's side. What's wrong? Is there trouble? 222. It's not much of a problem. Ever since I parted ways with boss, strange things would happen every time we went to a world. It was like this. There would always be a strange man in every world that would twist the story. Every day my heart would tremble in fear. In any case, my host's mission to conquer the world will eventually become a mission for a man to help her dominate the world. That's why I'm tired. When the system saw 222's email, it was overjoyed. Does the ending mean that the mission has been completed? 222. It's considered completed. The reward is also quite generous. It's just that the process was rather difficult and frightening. My host is a little dumb. Speaking of which, without the help of that man, she might not have completed it so well. System. Then what are you worrying about? Since your host is riding on her coattails, you should ride on her coattails and flatter her a little. How good would it be if you could complete the mission? Silly boy, your host is so lucky to have a shortcut. Why would she need to climb mountains and move mountains? 222. I'm just afraid that the host will develop the habit of reaping without sowing. By then, you won't be able to be independent. System. It's her fortune to have someone to help her. She's lucky. It means that she has a good life. I'm quite envious. Although all of you are envious of my host's greatness, you don't know how much hardship she had to go through to be able to come up with the strategies she has today. If I could do it all over again, I would hope that that person would appear from the beginning and accompany her through every small world. Perhaps it was because the system was sentimental, but it sent a long speech that made 222 waver a little. Was this really his host's fortune? Lian Jian got off the car early. If he didn't, his body temperature would become abnormal again. This weekend, Tang Guo participated in the first round of the program's speech competition. Without a doubt, she won first place in the end. There was no doubt about it. After a busy day, she returned home. When she opened the door and changed her shoes, she sensed that there were many people inside. She looked up and her smile disappeared. These people came in one group. The atmosphere was very strange. It seemed like they were here for her. Peak. Chapter 3043. Tangua's parents weren't the only ones sitting on the sofa. Their respective true loves and illegitimate children were also there. As soon as Tangua walked in, all eyes fell on her. Especially Father Tang and Mother Tang. Their eyes were filled with anger and shame, as if she had done something shameful. Perhaps in their eyes, she really had done something shameful. Where have you been? Mother Tang couldn't help but ask. Her daughter had done something like that, and she had lost all face. If word of this got out, how could she still have any face left? As expected, she hadn't given birth to the child herself. Was she still affected by her mother's body? It must be because of the woman who had given birth to the child in her place. She had bad habits, and wasn't a decent woman. If she was a decent woman, why would she do something like this for money? She probably took the money and squandered it as she pleased. Her private life was messy. Even her own blood would be affected by the other party's mother's body. She then thought of Tangua's rebellious behavior. She didn't care about her mother at all. Look at how obedient and filial her beau-frère was. What was the difference? This was the difference. You still have the nerve to come back after doing such a shameful thing. Father Tang slammed the table. I understand why you didn't want us to meddle in your affairs. So you were waiting for us here? You're so young, and you're already so bad. As a father, I've lost all face because of you. Father Tang and Mother Tang were furious. They pointed at Tangua and scolded her for a while. Their two true loves hurriedly persuaded them in a low voice. Father Tang's true love was called Yu Ting. She was a very beautiful woman, because she took good care of herself. Even though she wasn't young anymore, she still looked very young. She held onto Father Tang's arm and whispered, "No matter what, we should ask Xiaoguo first. What do you think? If we scold the child before we even get to the bottom of this matter, she'll feel so wronged. Yeah, let's ask Xiaoguo first. What if it's a misunderstanding?" Mother Tang's true love, Chen Yunshu, also chimed in as he gently wrapped his arm around Mother Tang's shoulder. Perhaps it's a misunderstanding. Let's ask the child first. It's not good to blame the child like this. That's right. Dad, Mom, why don't we ask Sister Xiaoguo first? Maybe it's a misunderstanding. Yu Pingping looked at Tang Guo with a faint smile, but no one else noticed it from her angle. Sister Xiaoguo, aren't your grades very good? How could she not focus on her studies and learn how to be friends with others? She even got pregnant. Anyway, I don't believe it. After all, I would never do such a shameful thing. That's right. Dad, Mom, Sister Xiaoguo doesn't look like that kind of person. Let's get to the bottom of this. If not, we can bring Sister Xiaoguo to the hospital for a checkup. Won't everything be clear then? Chen Bofiai said. At the same time, his expression was also malicious, as if he had already determined that Tangua, as a minor, was not a good student. She had an affair with a male classmate, and was even pregnant. Host, it was your driver who leaked the secret, right? Who else could it be other than him? Tangua already knew that there was something wrong with the driver. Otherwise, how could the two illegitimate children know her every move? The Tang couple didn't pay much attention to her at all. Even if she attended a banquet, the two of them would know what dress she was wearing in advance through the driver before the banquet. Peak. Chapter 3044. There were even a few times when she clashed with someone at a banquet because of the chauffeur's leak. It wasn't that they had asked someone to do it on the spur of the moment. No matter where she went, the chauffeur would send her there. When she went to try on gowns, the chauffeur would also send her there. If they wanted to know what kind of gown she was wearing, they just had to pay attention and take a photo. In the worst case, the chauffeur would tell the two of them where the gowns were custom-made. Could they not think of a way to ask about the style of the gown? Okay, then I'll have to ask her properly. Father Tang's face darkened. Did you go to the hospital with the boy on Thursday afternoon? Tangua nodded. Yes, I went to the hospital. What did you do there? I wasn't feeling well, so I went for a checkup. Having parents is the same as not having parents. Only a kind classmate accompanied me. Mother Tang continued. Was it really a checkup and not something else? In short, she didn't believe that a male classmate would accompany a female classmate to the hospital for a checkup for no reason. There must be something wrong. If they didn't go for a checkup, they probably went for an abortion. However, Tanggua's face was rosy, and she had been running around for the past few days. It seemed that there was nothing wrong with her body. Mother Tang frowned. She didn't look like she had an abortion. Could it be that there wasn't enough time? Alright, what did she do outside today? What did you do outside today? Tanggua shook her head gently. Aren't you just suspecting that I embarrassed you by having a child with a male classmate? If you want to talk about embarrassment, what you two did is really embarrassing. You unfilial daughter. Tanggua couldn't be bothered to talk to the speechless couple. She took out the checkup form from her school bag, walked up to them, and threw it at their faces. Look carefully. Don't jump to conclusions. Although we have the same genes, it's still a little different from yours. Tanggua glanced at Chen Bofiai and Yu Pingping and said, at least he wouldn't do something like this. He's already married, but he still brought his true love and her illegitimate child home. Seeing that Mrs. Tang and Mr. Tang were about to explode in anger, Tanggua continued, if you don't think it's embarrassing, you can tell the whole world that they are your true love. Those two are the children you truly love. When the time comes, we'll see what the outside world thinks. Was it going to blow up? She wasn't afraid of making a big fuss, but she was afraid of these two people. Tanggua's mother rushed over to slap her, but Tanggua grabbed her wrist. Even though she was shorter and thinner than her mother, she couldn't break free from her grip. It's best if you don't fight with me. I've said it before, I'm not afraid of making a big deal out of it. But don't bring some eyesores back to bother me. If you go overboard, I don't mind making a big deal out of it. Tanggua was silent for a moment before she said, although it will make the two old men very sad, you also make me very sad. I can only make them sad. Mrs. Tang's anger dissipated instantly. She finally understood that she was being threatened. Who said that this girl was stupid? She was clearly cunning, and had already seen through them. She was afraid that the two old men would find out. Perhaps he knew more than they thought. They didn't know what she had discovered. I won't pursue what happened today. Peak. Chapter 30-45. For the time being, Tanggua couldn't be bothered to argue with them. After all, the Lin family and Family Tang companies would eventually belong to her. These two could live with their true love. By the way, I want a new chauffeur. I'll hire him and you'll pay for it. Don't refuse. You don't have the right. Tanggua looked at Chen Yunshu and Yu Ting meaningfully. If you want to be the white moonlight, then be the white moonlight. Don't play any tricks behind my back. I can still turn a blind eye to it. Also, this is my home. You don't have the right to be here. Please know your place. You all have your own goals, but I just want to live in my own territory without any eyesores. You. Father Tang was furious. He pointed at Tanggua, but didn't know how to scold her. He looked at the medical report. It was indeed a comprehensive physical examination. The time was just right. He believed Tanggua's words. Otherwise, she wouldn't be so confident. The more indifferent Tanggua was, the more they couldn't do anything to her. They never thought that they would one day be bullied by a teenage girl. They couldn't even refute her. She was right. They didn't dare to make a big deal out of it. Since the matter is clear, you can take them and get out. Tanggua said coldly, remember, this is the only time. If you dare to bring them to me again on my territory, I will report this matter to the news and let the whole country see the strange story of the Tang family. I raised you for nothing, Mother Tang said angrily. Tanggua smiled. If we calculate, not only do I not owe you anything, but you owe me. Not only do you owe my parents love, but you also owe me money. When I was born, the two elders each gave me 5% of the shares. After so many years, where are my dividends? Father Tang and Mother Tang looked at each other speechlessly. Forget about the past. In the future, you must give me dividends every year. Anyway, I don't expect to inherit your assets. Just give me my share. At this moment, Yu Pingping and Chen Bofiai's expressions turned ugly. This was because Father Tang and Mother Tang had told them that Tanggua's 5% shares in both companies would be theirs in the future. Now that Tanggua said it in public, it would be very difficult to get so many shares. If you dare to have this idea, I can only trouble the two old men. Initially, I didn't want to upset them, but Grandpa and Grandpa both said that if I were to be wronged, I must ask them for help. This time, Father Tang and Mother Tang were shocked and quickly nodded. Okay, I'll give you dividends in the future. When I'm 16, I want to manage my own shares. Father Tang gritted his teeth. Fine, you do it yourself. Don't think about anything else. I just want to save some money, so that you won't leave me in the future, when you're with your white moonlight. However, Father Tang and Mother Tang didn't care about that anymore. They had suffered a big loss today, so they were a little resentful towards Yu Ting and Chun Yun Shu. Weren't they the ones who said that Tang Gua didn't study well, and a male classmate accompanied her to the hospital for a checkup? The driver was directly fired. At the time, he was a little dumbfounded. He begged Father Tang and Mother Tang at the gate. Tang Gua stood by the window and looked at him with a half-smile. As if sensing something, the driver raised his head and looked at Tang Gua. He was shocked by her meaningful smile. The peak. Chapter 3046. He even suspected that he had been set up previously. Otherwise, why would she suddenly go for a checkup when she was clearly in good health? Yes, she must have found out something. No matter what he figured out, the driver was still fired. To be honest, he was a little regretful that he might not be able to find such an easy job as a driver next time. He did not expect that he would be fired just because he was a little greedy and helped to keep an eye on Tang Gua's movements. Of course, the driver did not know about Yu Ting and Chun Bofiai's relationship with Father Tang and Mother Tang. After all, he had a different opinion now. However, Tang Gua intended to let the driver know. He revealed her whereabouts just because of some money. She reckoned that he was not a person who could uphold his morals. If she could make the couple's white moonlight uncomfortable, then she would make them uncomfortable. Not long after, the driver received a text message. After reading this text message, he was full of hatred. He even spat outside. Then, he called Yu Ting and Chun Yun Shu. As for whether the driver got any benefits in the end, Tang Gua did not care about it. Needless to say, Yu Ting and Chun Yun Shu were definitely not comfortable. The family Tang couple was angered by her, and did not come back for a long time. If they did not shed all pretense of cordiality now, they would be too lazy to come back. They all thought that the mother's body must have affected Tang Gua, and caused their seed to go astray. That was why this woman did not listen to discipline. Anyway, they did not care about it, so they simply did not care. Since they did not care, Tang Gua was relieved. During the day, she went to class and prepared for the speech. At night, she video called the two old men, and received their education. If the couple paid more attention, they would know that old Master Lin had been living in old Master Tang's courtyard recently. When the homeroom teacher found out that Tang Gua had won first place, he was overjoyed. This time he was able to hold it in. He decided to wait for Tang Gua to appear on TV, before announcing it to his classmates. When is the next competition? Is it this weekend? 10 days later, on Friday. I might need to take a day off, Tang Gua said. Okay, I have 2 classes that day, and one of them is physical education. The head teacher flipped through the class schedule. I'll inform the other teachers. When you come back, if you have any questions, just call them directly. Not to mention other things. Just Tang Gua's excellent grades alone made the teachers of all subjects willing to sacrifice some time to answer her questions. Okay, thank you, teacher. Alright, you can leave now. Prepare well and don't be nervous. If it weren't for the fact that he was busy these 2 times, he really wanted to go and watch. When Tang Gua walked out of the office, she bumped into Lian Jian, who was holding a workbook. She smiled at him, and Lian Jian almost crashed into the office door. He even dropped 2 of his workbooks. Tang Gua bent down to pick it up and handed it to him. Be careful when you walk. Okay, thank you for your concern. Lian Jian calmly placed the workbook in the office, and quickly ran out to catch up with Tang Gua. He did not say anything, and just walked side by side with her. The 2 of them returned to their seats as if nothing had happened. Yen Geng was talking and laughing with Lin Man. Yen Geng did not know why, but he felt that Lin Man was easy to talk to, and it was easier to get along with her. Suddenly, he felt Tang Gua looking at him. The moment he raised his head, he was slightly stunned. As if he had thought of something, he forgot that he was still talking to her. Peak. Chapter 3047. He remembered that he wanted to interact with Tanggua at the start. Even though it was difficult to interact with her at times, he was still attracted to her, because he felt that she was not a difficult person to get along with. Occasionally, he would even realize that she did not seem to be happy. At that time, he wanted to get closer to her and understand why she was unhappy. Since when did he forget all this? At this moment, Lin Manman's voice rang in his ear. Yen Geng snapped out of his trance and saw Lin Manman talking to him with her head tilted. Yen Geng, what's wrong? Why are you in a daze? Lin Manman asked curiously. Actually, she realized that Yen Geng was looking at Tanggua. She frowned slightly. Was the connection between the male and female lead so deep that Yen Geng still could not forget Tanggua? They had not even started. Yen Geng shook his head. Nothing. I suddenly remembered something. He was not lying. He really suddenly remembered something. He looked at Tanggua again and realized that Tanggua was talking to Lien Jian. Their heads were almost touching. However, they were not whispering or talking about meaningless things. They were discussing a question. It was a math question. He had overheard it before, but he could not understand it. His results were not bad. How could he not understand it? Later on, he inadvertently checked and realized that these two perverts were discussing advanced mathematics. Advanced mathematics? That was a university subject. Perhaps it was because he was in a daze, but Yen Geng's mind cleared up. He spoke to Lin Manman again. When he looked at Lin Manman, his gaze was much calmer. Although Lin Manman was easy to get along with, she was not his type. He stole a glance at Tanggua and saw that she was still studying seriously. It seemed that Tanggua did not need his company anymore. He ruffled his hair. It seemed that he was the one who had lost all these. He was the one who did not want to go with her. He was even called away midway to draw the bulletin board. Now, Tanggua had someone who was on par with her and could discuss her studies with her. He was a bookworm and already had a study partner. Come to think of it, he was not a qualified learning partner at all. He only approached her with his own thoughts. Yen Geng felt as if he had lost something, but there was also a sense of loss that he could not grasp. This feeling made him feel suffocated and flustered. As he spoke to Lin Manman, he seemed a little distracted. Because of Yen Geng's perfunctory attitude, Lin Manman naturally became much colder. In any case, what Yen Geng did had nothing to do with her. Now that there was no main quest, she did not care about Yen Geng. At this moment, Lin Manman's system rang out. Main mission. Obtain 10 points of favorable impression from Baijan. Reward basic dance skill. Baijan. Lin Manman was surprised. Beginner dance skills. To be honest, she didn't know how to dance. If she could be more versatile, she wouldn't refuse. Moreover, he only needed to complete the main storyline mission to do so. Tanggua also heard it. She glanced at Baijan. She wondered if Lin Manman would be able to gain Baijan's favor without the beauty pill. She had investigated Baijan before. He was a person who cared a little about looks. Lin Manman spent quite some time to complete this main storyline mission. She even took the beauty pill and became prettier before she could get close to Baijan. Not to mention that if she fell deeply in love with him in the future, she would not care so much about looks. However, if she did not have a good first impression of him, the results would probably not be good in the future. On Lin Manman's side, because of the appearance of the main storyline mission, she decisively stopped talking to Yen Geng. She hurriedly returned to her seat and thought about how to gain Baijan's favorable impression. Yen Geng looked at Lin Manman, who turned and left, and was stunned. He felt that Lin Manman's attitude had changed a little today. Unknowingly, Tanggua had already participated in the second round of the speech competition. She also got first place in the district. Next would be the finals, which meant that she would be on the television show. The form teacher decided to keep it a secret, so he did not tell anyone. Tanggua had already gone to participate in the recording of the show. At the same time, the school was also organizing a speech competition. There were too many people participating, so it would take 2 days. Lin Manman had prepared for a long time and felt that she should be confident. Recently, she had also built a good relationship with many classmates. When the time came, there should be a lot of votes on the forum. There was no progress on Baijan's side, especially when Baijan looked as if he despised her. It was a huge blow to her. Previously, Baijan did not say anything. It was just that Baijan's underlings muttered something to her, telling her not to get so close to their boss. Our boss is a person who cares about looks. You should stay away from him. If you annoy him, he won't say anything nice. Peak. Chapter 30-48. Baijan's underlings' words did hurt Lin Man a little. It was not her fault that she was not good-looking. When she got the beauty pill, she would become pretty too. When she heard that Baijan was a good-looking guy, she instantly hated him. These hypocrites only cared about appearances. As long as you don't get too close to boss, he won't say anything about you. Under normal circumstances, boss won't take the initiative to care about ordinary people like you. The underlings were afraid that Lin Man would disturb Baijan, so they added a few more words. They said so much because Lin Man knew how to behave. They had a good impression of Lin Man and knew that she was a more enthusiastic classmate. But when she met boss, it might not be the case. Even if the underlings explained, Lin Man was still unhappy. If she did not take the initiative to disturb him, there would be nothing. Good-looking people were really annoying. When she completed the main mission, she would not bother about Baijan anymore. Speaking of which, Yin Gung was a little better than Baijan. At least he would not attack her appearance. The school's speech competition started. At the same time, Tang Gua had already arrived at a city where the production team was, and started recording the show. Although it was a recording of a show, the contestants participating in the recording were all from the district competition. They were definitely capable, and could not be underestimated. The participants ranged in age from 7 to 70 or 80 years old. The age range was very large, and their styles were all different. Hence, the selected judges were also quite skilled, and had a certain age range. There was still a live vote, but it only took up a small portion of the points. The majority of the points still belonged to the judges. When the school's speech competition started, Lin Man was looking for Tang Gua. But after a long time, she did not see her. She did not suspect anything. She only thought that Tang Gua had something to do, such as going to the toilet, or being called over by the teacher. Lian Jian, the president of the student council, would definitely be busy with such activities. He already knew that Tang Gua was going to participate in the program's speech competition. Although he was a little surprised, it was still within his expectations. Recently, he felt that something was wrong with himself and Tang Gua. She was clearly cold and arrogant to everyone else. However, when there were only the two of them, she would occasionally reveal a particularly happy smile, which made his hair stand on end. At that time, he had a feeling that when Tang Gua smiled at him, she was a succubus who wanted to eat people, and he was the succubus's favorite meat. Yin Gung was also looking for Tang Gua, but he couldn't find her. When he saw Lian Jian, he hurriedly stopped him. Yin Gung's foot was almost healed. As long as he didn't do any strenuous exercise, he could walk steadily without a crutch. Lian Jian, where's Tang Gua? I looked around and even went to the lounge. Why didn't I see her? Today is the speech competition. Will there be any problems on her side? Lian Jian's expression was indifferent. He gently pushed the frame of his glasses. Maybe she was called over by the teacher. Don't worry. Tang Gua won't make any mistakes in this regard. If there was, it could only be that she did it on purpose. He remembered that when Tang Gua told him this secret before, she also whispered to him that he must keep it a secret. If it was leaked out, they would break off their friendship in the future. Sever ties. It was impossible for them to break off their friendship in this lifetime. Vertex. Chapter 30-49. He pretended that he did not know that Tang Gua was going to attend the filming. There seemed to be nothing wrong with that. Yin Gung believed Lian Jian's words. At the same time, he understood that Lian Jian did not know Tang Gua's whereabouts. He did not know why, but he actually felt a little happy. This meant that Lian Jian and Tang Gua's relationship was not that good. At least, the two of them were not the kind of people who could share all kinds of secrets. Perhaps it was Lin Man's recent coldness towards Yin Gung that made him wake up completely. That little bit of affection he had for Lin Man was only because she had helped him back then, nothing else. Indistinctly, Yin Geng felt a tinge of regret. However, he couldn't say what he regretted. Lian Jian went to work, and Yin Geng did not want to disturb him. So he went to his seat. Lin Man was in the waiting room, and did not see Tang Guo appear. At first, she was still paying attention, but later, she saw that everyone was looking at her speech script, so she quietly flipped through it. After all, this was related to the side mission of the beauty pill. Whether she could make it look better or not depended on whether she could beat Tang Guo today. Although it was a little unkind, she was actually thinking that if Tang Guo did not attend the speech competition because of some accident, she would be considered as having won, right? Tang Guo was very capable, but she was not completely confident now. Feeling that this was a little unkind, Lin Man hurriedly dispelled this thought. The speech competition finally started. Lin Man was in the last round of the day. She had not seen the name list and did not know which round Tang Guo was in. There were many participants, so it was divided into 2 days. The scores could be decided on the spot. There was a time limit to the voting on the forum. It was not difficult to implement the voting within 3 minutes. One by one, the contestants went on stage to give their speeches. Some were good, some were average, and some were too nervous to speak clearly. In any case, doing anything on this stage required a certain amount of courage. Until now, Lin Man had not found anyone who could be her opponent. But thinking that Tang Guo hadn't played yet, she couldn't let go of her worries. Finally, it was Lin Man's turn. At this moment, she thought that she didn't see Tang Guo because she wasn't scheduled to come today. When she went on stage, some of the students were already discussing Tang Guo. Lin Man is the last one today. I heard that Tang Guo is also participating in the speech competition, but I haven't seen her yet. Tang Guo is so powerful. Maybe she doesn't care about these people. There's nothing much for her to do here. To her, the people here are all a bunch of weaklings. There's no need for her to come and watch weaklings peck at each other. That's true. But seriously, Tang Guo doesn't put other people in her eyes at all. Even if you are capable, is it really good to disrespect your opponent like this? Lin Man also felt that Tang Guo was looking down on her. Because of what her classmates had said, she decided that she must perform well today and strive to outperform herself. She wanted to let Tang Guo know that there was always someone better than her. Anyone would feel uncomfortable being looked down on like this. Originally, she had only wanted to obtain the beauty pill for the side mission. Now, she wanted to compete with Tang Guo. Tang Guo, who was filming a show in a faraway city, didn't know that her classmates had added scenes for her without her permission. Peak. Chapter 30-50. Lin Man's speech was humorous and profound. In the end, she won the praises of the judges and the votes of the students on the forum. Her speech was also the highest of the day. The forum's accounts were based on real names. Each person had one account, so there was no double voting. The highest and lowest votes were removed, and the average was taken. Perhaps because the previous speeches of the students were not very exciting, Lin Man had the advantage of time, place, and people. In the end, she got a very high score of 95 points. One had to know that among the students who had given speeches before, the highest score was only 84 points. Her speech had really attracted a lot of attention. Lin Man was very surprised by this score. After all, the forum scores were good, but there were also students with different preferences. It was inevitable that they would give low scores. The students who got more than 80 points in the end were considered more outstanding. When Lin Man came down, many students in the class looked at her in surprise and hurriedly congratulated her. Towards Lin Man, the students in the class really did not have any feelings of jealousy, especially many of the female students, who sincerely wished Lin Man well. The main thing was that Lin Man did not look aggressive. No matter where she stood, she would not steal their limelight. Lin Man, your score is so high. It seems like you can compete with Tang Guo. Tang Guo didn't come today. She didn't see an opponent like you. I wonder if she will regret it tomorrow. I think that even though Lin Man's score is high, it doesn't mean that Tangua's score is not higher than hers. There were also students who felt that Tangua was very capable, and that Lin Manman might not necessarily win. Nothing is confirmed now. Similarly, it doesn't mean that Tangua will definitely win Lin Manman, right? We'll know who wins and who loses tomorrow. There's no point in arguing here. Although the students felt that the winner was not certain yet, Lin Manman had already decided that she would win. As long as you are familiar with her, you will know how bad Tangua's relationship with others is. Also, given Tangua's speech style in the past, she might not be able to get a good score on the forum. The things she talked about were things that adults liked. These little students might not like. Her current style was to please the younger students and add some content that adults would like. She would score high with the younger students, but not too high with the adults, but not too low either. In the end, it was as she had expected. Lin Manman, congratulations on getting such a high score. Yen Geng smiled at Lin Manman. I didn't expect you to be so talented. Lin Manman giggled and replied, there's a lot you don't know. Once she gained Bai Zhan's favor, she would be able to obtain the beginner dance skill. If she won the speech competition tomorrow and ate the beauty pill, it wouldn't take long for her to become beautiful and thin. When there was an event, she would participate in a dance performance. She would definitely surprise people. With her in control of this body, her life would only become more and more beautiful. Because of Lin Manman's excellent performance, Yen Geng was a little worried about Tangua's speech tomorrow. It was a pity that she didn't come. He wasn't very familiar with Tangua and didn't know how to contact her. Yen Geng didn't know that after Lian Jian returned home, he sent a message to Tangua, asking her how the recording was going. Perhaps Tangua was still busy with the recording and didn't reply for the time being. It was almost 9 at night when Tangua replied to Lian Jian's message. Peak. Chapter 3051. The next day, the speech competition continued in school. Lin Manman arrived early in the morning and kept an eye on the outside to see when Tangua would come. Today's competition was related to whether she could complete her side task and whether she could get the beauty pill that could change her fate. She waited and waited. When the speech competition started, there was no sign of Tangua. She wondered if Tangua was really delayed by something and couldn't come to the speech competition. She remembered that in the plot, Tangua successfully participated in the speech competition. Could it be that her existence caused some changes in the situation, resulting in the so-called butterfly effect, causing Tangua's side to be unable to participate in the competition? Lin Manman felt a little lucky and a little regretful that Tangua couldn't come. After all, this was one of the rare times when she could compete with Tangua. She didn't know if she would be able to compete with Tangua on the same stage in the future. In today's speech competition, there were a few outstanding students. 2 students got 91.5 points in the end. It could be said that their results were very good. When the host announced the end of the speech competition, Tangua's classmates were stunned. Tangua hadn't gone up to give a speech yet. Why did the host announce the end of the speech competition? Did something happen? Although they didn't like Tangua and didn't think that she was easy to get along with, they still looked forward to Tangua's speech performance. Tangua won glory for the class. It was also considered as winning glory for the class. It would be very dignified if word got out. Other than Tangua being difficult to get along with, they didn't have any opinions about her. They even admired her for her good results. It was fine if she had a strange temper. At most, they would just have less contact with her. Some of the class leaders even hurried to ask the head teacher, "Sir, why didn't Tangua attend the speech? Did something happen to her? Speaking of which, I haven't seen her for 2 days. Did something really happen to her?" The head teacher smiled sweetly. Seeing that everyone was worried, she smiled and said, "Don't worry. Student Tangua is just busy with other things, so she can't come here. She's safe. Nothing happened." I see. To be honest, I was looking forward to Tangua's speech. I'm a little disappointed that she didn't attend. The form teacher's heart was beating very fast. He wondered how Tangua was doing. She should be able to finish filming today, right? When he got off work, he had to make a call immediately to ask. Putting aside the fact that he had gotten first place in this year's speech competition, the participants for this year's competition were all from the prefectural competition. There were at least 20 of them. He felt very proud to be able to appear on television. If he could enter the top 5, he would gain a lot of face. If she was in the top 3, he would definitely help classmate Tang Guo apply for the prize money. If he got first place, he wouldn't be able to do it. His heart might not be able to take it. After the speech competition ended, Lin Man won the first place and was presented with the award on the spot. Other than the certificate and trophy, there was also a prize of 3,000 yuan. Lin Man didn't care about these things. She only hoped that she could get the beauty pill later, so that she could change the skin on her face. However, Lin Man waited and waited. Even when the sky turned dark, there was still no response from the system. When it was about 8 o'clock, the system beeped and woke her up. Lin Man happily waited for the system to determine that she had won against Tang Guo, so that she could receive the beauty pill. The system's mechanical voice rang in her ears. Peak. Chapter 3052. Mission failed. It was simple. Mission failed. There was no reward or blame. After the side mission failed, it disappeared. Lin Man didn't know how to trigger the next side mission. The only way was to wait for the system notification. Lin Man's eyes widened. She didn't believe it at all. She was still holding the award and trophy in her hands. Today, she even used her prize money to buy candy for her classmates. How could she fail? Tang Guo didn't even participate in the speech competition. How could she fail the mission? Yes, the system said that the mission failed, not that she lost. Could it be that Tang Guo didn't participate in the speech competition because of some accident? Lin Man was about to break down. It couldn't be that bad, right? If Tang Guo didn't participate in the speech competition, then even if she won first place, she would still lose? So, was the system here to help her? Or was it here to trap her? If there was such a side mission in the future, and she wanted to compete with the other party, but the other party didn't participate because of some accident, wouldn't she die of anger? No matter how much Lin Man complained, the side mission had failed. She still had school tomorrow, and she didn't plan to stay up late. She could only sleep angrily. When she woke up in the morning, even if her parents praised her for winning first place and gave her a lot of pocket money, she still couldn't feel happy. This day, Tang Guo still didn't come to school. Lin Man wasn't in the mood to ask about this. The beauty pill in front of her had slipped away. How could she be happy? Her unhappy look attracted a lot of attention. Even after being comforted, Lin Man was still unhappy. Yin Geng also knew that Tang Guo didn't come to school because she had something else to do. Looking at the empty seat, he was still not used to it. After all, ever since school started, Tang Guo hadn't missed a day. Even Jian wasn't used to it. When it was time for class, no one teased him. Every time, it was just right. He always had a lot to say, but because of the bell he couldn't say it. It was uncomfortable. He had to hold it in for the whole morning or the whole afternoon. But thinking about the news that Tang Guo had revealed to him last night, she should be back for class tomorrow. Tang Guo didn't mention the results of the speech competition. She only said that it was a good result. There was another person who was so excited that he didn't know how to vent his emotions. He was the form teacher. He had also asked Tang Guo about the results, but Tang Guo said that the production team had requested for this episode to be kept confidential before it was aired. Moreover, they had to sign a confidentiality agreement, so they really couldn't reveal anything. She only said that the results were good. How good was it? Student Tang Guo only said half a sentence and left half a sentence behind. He was really going to suffocate to death. Now the school leaders came to his office every day to ask him how things were going. They were just waiting for Tang Guo's good news. It was really unbearable. He heard that the show would only be broadcasted half a month later. Wouldn't that make people anxious to death? This program was currently being broadcast once a week. Tang Guo's episode was scheduled to be broadcast half a month later. The next day, Tang Guo returned to school with a calm face, as if nothing had happened. The form teacher was almost suffocated to death by her. Hence, he could only call her more often during class. For this question, student Tangwa, come up and give a demonstration. You missed 1 or 2 days of classes previously. You can do it first. I'll see which part of it you don't know. He waited for Tangwa to finish her work. The form teacher was speechless. Very good. From the perfect answer of this question, I can see that even if student Tangwa didn't come to school, she must have been reading at home. Her answer was perfect. The form teacher had no more room to express himself. He could only praise her a little to calm himself down. Student Tangwa, come and answer this question too. He didn't believe that this little girl could learn all the questions that had only been taught for 1 or 2 days. The facts proved that she was. Very good, students. You must learn from student Tangwa. Even if you didn't come to school, you didn't fall behind in your classes. For the next question, student Lin Man, please come up and answer it. In front of student Tangwa, he had already lost his confidence as a teacher. Hence, it was better to invite student Lin Man, who performed well, but whose results were slightly worse. Lin Man was speechless. Peak. Chapter 30:53. She braced herself and answered the question. Lin Man stood at the side, waiting for the teacher to criticize her. The form teacher usually did not pay attention to her. When she picked people to answer questions, it was always the results that were at the front. Even if she occasionally picked the questions at the back, it would never be her turn. The form teacher looked at the answer and almost laughed out loud. Lin Man thought she had seen wrongly. She must have seen wrongly. She must have seen wrongly. She must have done something wrong. It seems that student Lin Man has not mastered this type of question well. Today, I will explain it to you again. It's good that you are careful. In a while, I will give you another question to check if you are listening carefully. The form teacher finally found her confidence as a teacher. She found Lin Man quite pleasing to the eye. So after explaining the question once, she gave another question of the same type for Lin Man to answer. Although it was the same type of question, there were some differences. Although Lin Man had the original owner's memory and could barely keep up with the rhythm of the past, she was not a high school student who was familiar with high school curriculum. When the form teacher explained the question, she understood it. When it was time to draw inferences, she was still very confused. The steps in the middle were correct, but when it came to the latter part, she answered carelessly. She thought that she would be scolded by the form teacher for being stupid or careless. She did not know how to draw inferences and was too slow. Unexpectedly, the form teacher was kind and did not scold her. Instead, she patiently analyzed the question and asked if she understood before letting her go. Lin Man thought that this was just an interlude. She did not expect the rest of the lesson to be like this. Student Lin Man, come up and answer this question. Next, let's invite Lin Man to answer. Do you understand this question? Okay, student Lin Man, come up and answer it. Lin Man, who was not noticed by the teacher in the past, was in the limelight in this lesson. Lin Man felt bitter inside. Could it be that she had won first place in the speech competition? So the form teacher was paying attention to her and wanted to focus on grooming her? During her free time, Lin Man had already sneaked up to Tangwa's seat, intending to casually ask Tangwa why she didn't participate in the speech competition. Although this matter was indeed not Tangwa's fault, she could not help but mutter in her heart. If Tangwa had not been delayed by other things, perhaps her side mission could have been completed? Because of this, the way Lin Man looked at Tangwa was filled with resentment. Perhaps she didn't realize it herself. Tangwa did notice, but she didn't want to communicate with Lin Man at all, let alone tell her why she didn't want to participate in the speech competition. Firstly, they were not familiar with each other. Secondly, they did not have any relationship with each other. However, Lin Man still couldn't hold herself back and found an excuse to talk to Tangwa. Tangwa, why didn't you participate in the speech competition before? Tangwa glanced at Lin Man and said coldly, I have other things to do. What things? Lin Man asked instinctively. After asking, she felt that something was wrong. As expected, Tangwa glanced at her coldly and said, Why should I tell you? Why are you asking so many questions? Why should I tell you what I'm doing? Perhaps because she felt guilty, Lin Man Man smiled sheepishly. Peek. Chapter 3054. I'm just asking. It's normal for classmates to care for each other. It's mainly because you didn't come that day, and I got first place. It's a little embarrassing to talk about it. Lin Man Man blushed a little when she said this. Actually, she had hoped that she could win Tangua's speech competition. If she got first place, she would be able to get the beauty pill as a reward. Unfortunately, it's your ability to get first place. It's not a matter of luck. There are so many talented people in the school. Isn't it your ability to stand out? You said that you got first place, but your words put me on a pedestal and showed that you look down on other classmates. It doesn't seem very nice. Lin Man Man almost fainted. Looking at Tangua's cold and serious face, she wanted to vomit blood. She was just asking. Did she have to be so hostile? She was just confident in her own ability. How was she looking down on others? Lin Man Man felt that the classmates around her were looking at her differently. She decided not to talk to Tangua anymore. She was indeed difficult to get along with. His words were filled with the smell of gunpowder, as if she owed him 5 million yuan. Lin Man Man hurriedly went back to her seat. She decided not to talk to Tangua for no reason in the future. Seriously, just a short sentence, and she had misinterpreted her meaning. It was as if she looked down on everyone. Just like how the books described, she was indeed difficult to get along with. She was unreasonable and unforgiving. Tangua also went back to her seat. At this moment Yin Geng said, Actually, Lin Man Man is just concerned about you. It's not what you think. Lien Jian, who was doing his exam papers, heard Yin Geng's words. His eyes were full of smiles under his black-rimmed glasses. This Yin Geng seemed to be a little stupid. Recently, he realized that Yin Geng often bumped into Tangua. It was as if they were trying to create some sparks. Now that he was speaking up for another female classmate, if he didn't die, who would? Indeed, Tangua cooperated with him and showed a cold expression. Yin Geng's heart skipped a beat. I'm not familiar with her. Moreover, she said that she could get first place even if I wasn't around. Isn't she overestimating me and looking down on other classmates? Yin Geng opened his mouth but couldn't explain. It seemed to be the case on the surface, but he felt that Lin Man Man's classmate wasn't that kind of person. He didn't have anything against Lin Man Man. He just thought that she was a kind-hearted classmate and wanted to explain things to Tangua so that she wouldn't misunderstand. But now, it seemed that he had made a mistake. Tangua no longer looked at Yin Geng. What a tactless guy, trying to worm his way into being friends with Zhang Xian, and even speaking up for him? Indeed, his EQ was extremely low. System, that's right, that's right. How could she compare to the one beside her, who wore a pair of black-rimmed glasses, but was actually a large wolfhound, who only spoke up for her? Are you still going to the library to study at noon? Lien Jian asked Tangua. Lien Jian only talked to Tangua after class. Tangua raised her eyes and smiled at Lien Jian. Go. The classmate behind Lien Jian accidentally saw it, and exclaimed in his heart. Holy shit! He must have seen wrongly. Just now, Tangua was still talking to Yin Geng in a very unfriendly manner. Then she turned around and smiled at Lien Jian. He must have seen wrongly. But what he observed next made this classmate doubt his life. This was because he saw Tangua smiling at Lien Jian more than once. Peek. Chapter 3055. Half a month felt like a year to Tangua's form teacher. Finally, the day he had been waiting for was here. During this period, Lin Man Man would be selected to answer a question in almost every class held by the form teacher. This was because her foundation, compared to her classmates, was considered to be the weakest part of the class. The form teacher took special care of her, causing her to lose weight quickly in this half a month. Every time the form teacher had a class, she would have the urge to skip class. She was very sure that it must be because her performance was too good that the form teacher paid so much attention to her. Even if she weakened her presence now, it was useless. After school on Friday afternoon, the form teacher called Tangua to his office and asked her a question seriously. Is it this episode? Yes, Tangua answered. It's Saturday night. The form teacher let out a long sigh. Okay, you can go back. I will pay attention to it tomorrow night. He didn't blame Tangua for not saying anything. Since she had signed a confidentiality agreement, Tangua wouldn't reveal anything to anyone. This showed that she was a good student who kept her word. As a teacher, he had to set an example. It was because he was a teacher that he couldn't lead the students to break the rules and show bad behavior to the students. This half a month had been exhausting for him. When Tangua returned to the classroom, Lianjian was still there. The two of them had a tacit understanding and walked out of the classroom and the school gate together. Not far from the school gate, there was a group of people who looked like gangsters. When Lianjian appeared, those people glanced at him. They seemed to have seen Tangua beside Lianjian and hurriedly turned their heads away. Do you want a ride? Tangua also noticed those people. She wasn't afraid that they would do anything to Lianjian. These people shouldn't be a match for this guy. No, it's not on the way. If you give me a ride, you will take a long detour. Okay, then you can ride back by yourself. Tangua opened the car door and got in. She had personally hired this chauffeur. Not everyone had eyes and only listened to her. Watching Tangua's car disappear in front of his eyes, Lianjian rides his bicycle and goes to a remote alley. Recently, this group of students in school was getting worse and worse. They even dared to hang out with the hooligans outside. He had to find a quiet place and use force to influence this group of students so that they would understand what it meant to study hard and improve themselves every day. Lianjian entered a small alley, and the group of gangsters also followed him into the alley. Not long after, a very low-key, but not luxurious car stopped at the entrance of the alley. The car door did not open, and no one came out. Very few people passed by here, and from time to time, there were cries of pain coming from the small alley. Miss Tang, should I call the police? There's no need. It's just a small matter. As the president of the student council, Lianjian will definitely persuade those hooligans to put down their fists and be a good person. Driver, is that so? Are you sure it's not that weak-looking male classmate who was beaten up by those hooligans? Half an hour later, there was no sound from inside. Not long after, a person came out of the small alley. Who else could it be but Lianjian? The zipper of his school uniform was open, and his clothes looked a little crooked. As he came out, he put on the black-rimmed glasses in his hand. He also patted the bowl cut on his head. Because he had just influenced a group of hooligans, his bowl cut was a little messy. The top. Chapter 3056. When Lianjian was pulling up the zipper of his clothes, he felt that something was wrong. When he looked up, he saw Tangua standing at the door of the car, looking at him with a smile, which made his body stiffen for a moment. Then he zipped up as if nothing had happened and walked toward Tangua. He asked seriously, "Classmate Tangua, why are you here?" "Looking for the toilet." "Looking for the toilet again? Couldn't she use another reason?" Last time, she was looking for the toilet. This time, she was also looking for the toilet. Thinking this in his heart, Lianjian's words had already changed. "Most likely you drank too much water. Did you find it?" "No, I didn't run into classmate Lianjian. Help me find it." Lianjian nodded. "Okay, I remember that there is a toilet nearby. Follow me." The two of them walked side by side for 2 steps. Tangua asked, "What were you doing in that alley? Did you secretly do something bad? I know your position as a student cadre is just a facade. On the surface, you look serious, but in fact, you are the kind of bad student who hides." Lianjian. How was he a bad student who hides? He was clearly trying to reform a group of ignorant and incompetent hooligans to make them treat life seriously. He was doing a good thing. Classmate Tangua. Some things can't be seen on the surface. What you see might not be the truth. Then why don't you show me the other side and the truth? Won't that do? System. Ha 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 ha. This system is dying of laughter. Lianjian was speechless. Based on the time he spent with her recently, he thought that Tangua was just teasing him. She was probably not waiting at the entrance of the alley to find the toilet. She had probably been waiting there for a while. It was not impossible to show her the other side. Lianjian's expression was a bit conflicted. When did he compromise so quickly? It's okay if you don't want to. I was just saying. Tangua's words made Lian Jian come back to his senses. He quickly said, I'm not unwilling. So you're willing? Tangua leaned over and whispered, when will you show it to me? She looked at Lian Jian's bowl-cut hair, and her eyes fell on his black-rimmed glasses. She reached out and touched the frame of his glasses. If you want, take off your glasses and let me see. Even the mirror didn't move, and neither did Tangua. Not only did she not take it off, she even let go of it. It's getting late. I'm going home. Lian Jian was a little disappointed that his glasses were not taken off. Are you going to the toilet? I can still hold it in for a while. I'll do it when I get home. It'll be a while. Tangua turned around and was about to leave when Lian Jian quickly caught up with her and grabbed her wrist. How can we hold back on this kind of thing? We've already found him. Let's go. Then he pulled Tangua to the bathroom. Feeling that Tangua didn't resist, he relaxed a little. Tangua said to the system in her heart, actually, I really don't want to go to the toilet. System, go in and walk around. Estimate the time before coming out. Don't forget, host, you're the one who teased her. Tangua did go in and wander around, and then came out again. Lian Jian was still waiting there. All right, can I go home now? Lian Jian felt that her words were a little strange. It sounded as if he didn't want her to go home. It was strange no matter how he thought about it. I'll walk you to the car. Lian Jian quickly followed. His heart was still beating a little faster when he thought about how he had grabbed Tangua in a moment of desperation. He walked side by side with Tangua. He glanced at her face from the corner of his eye and suddenly said, do you want to take off my glasses? If she really wanted to, he would let her take it off. The peak. Chapter 3057. After going to the toilet, my body feels better. I don't want to anymore. System, ha ha ha, what a pitiful guy. Lian Jian watched as Tangua's car drove away, feeling a little lost. Actually, it didn't matter if she took off his glasses just now. Why did she stop? Was she afraid that he would be angry? He was not a petty person. Although Tangua was not a difficult person to get along with, she was a very fickle person. One second, she wanted to eat ice cream. The next, she might want to eat hot pot. Finally, it was Saturday night. The speech program that Tangua participated in was about to be broadcast. As it was about to be broadcast, the form teacher finally could not hold it in anymore. She sent a message in the class group, asking all the students to watch a speech program that was about to be broadcast if they had time. She also said that there was a surprise waiting for everyone, because she found out from Tangua that the results were not bad. The form teacher thought that she should be in the top 5. It did not sound good, but those over 20 people were all champions of the district competition. Each of them was capable. It was not bad to be in the top 5. Hence, the form teacher not only informed the students in the class, but also the teachers and leaders of the school. This was a notice in advance. When it was time, many people turned on the television and stared at it. Especially Tangua's classmates, they were very curious. In the past, the form teacher had never told them to watch a television program during the holidays. They did not know what surprise was waiting for them. Lin Man was among them. Seeing that it was a speech program, she decided to watch it. The speech program started with the introduction of all the members. When all the students saw that there was a familiar face among the members, they almost jumped in shock. At that moment, many people said at the same time, damn, isn't that Tangua? Tangua, it's actually Tangua. Oh my god, could it be that Tangua disappeared for a few days to attend a program recording? Mom, this is Tangua from our class. Her results are amazing. I didn't expect her to be on television. Dad, this girl is from our class. Oh my god, this is really shocking. Although they were not familiar with Tangua, they also thought that she was not easy to get along with. However, when the whole family gathered together to watch TV, especially this kind of program, they would feel a little proud when they suddenly found someone they knew. After Lin Man confirmed that it was Tangua, she froze on the spot. When she saw that Tangua was speaking without a script, and that her style had changed, she knew that she had been too confident. Her own style of speech was more relaxed and a little exaggerated, but it was very popular with the students. Tangua's speech style seemed very serious, but it would occasionally make people laugh. The people who were watching the show, especially Tangua's classmates, all realized that Tangua could actually make jokes with a serious face. She could stop herself from laughing, and even put on a cold face, but she could always make everyone laugh until they cried. After laughing, he felt that what she said made sense. In the entire manuscript, there was seriousness, humor, irony, and meaning. In the end, when they saw that Tangua won first place, they were not surprised at all. Lin Man now felt that even if Tangua had participated in the school speech competition, her side mission would probably have failed. She did not expect Tangua to be so capable. She let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, there was only one side quest about Tangua. If it was all about Tangua, she wouldn't have been able to beat the other party. Thinking of the main mission, Lin Man decided to think of a way to complete the main mission first, and get into Baijan's good books as soon as possible. If the side mission was gone, so be it. It would appear again in the future. The next day, Lin Man and Tangua arrived at school at the same time. Lin Man had wanted to greet Tangua, but suddenly, the system beeped and made her body stiffen. After hearing what it was, she looked at Tangua and broke down. Peak. Chapter 3058. Beep. Side mission. Surpass Tangua in midterm test results. Reward beauty pill. If not for the fact that she had to maintain her persona, Tangua would have laughed out loud. She was not laughing at Lin Man's bad luck. She was laughing at the stupid system for really going against her. Previously, it wanted Lin Man to win against her in the speech competition. Now it wanted her to surpass her in the midterm test results. The rewards were actually all beauty pills. If not for the fact that she knew Baijan was a good-looking person, she would not have suspected the system's ulterior motives. Perhaps it was not the system's ulterior motives, but the person behind the system's creation. She secretly guessed that the system's style was a little similar to the Space-Time Bureau's style. However, the Space-Time Bureau's standard should not be so low. How could the system be so stupid if it needed the Space-Time Bureau's mission enforcers? Moreover, in the plot, Lin Man and Baijan lived happily ever after. There was no mention of the system taking away Baijan's luck. Although the plot did not mention it, Tangua was not sure. After all, there were many things outside the plot that could not be guessed. Moreover, to deal with this stupid system, as long as Lin Man did not win, the system would not be able to achieve its goal. That way, not only would the stupid system feel uncomfortable, but Lin Man would also feel uncomfortable. She wanted to guess, because if Lin Man wanted to get close to Baijan, she had to have a pretty face. That was why the system was so insistent on giving Lin Man a beauty pill. Then, regarding her side mission in the future, would the first thing Lin Man needed to obtain be the beauty pill? Without the beauty pill, Lin Man would not be able to get close to Baijan? It might be, it might not be. But it was not important. Anyway, she would not let Lin Man win. If Lin Man could not get close to Baijan, then the other party's main mission would not progress. She had a mountain of gold in her hands, but she could only look at it, and could not eat it. How terrible would that be? Lin Man was indeed very upset now. She was not even in the mood to greet Tangua. Now she did not want to see Tangua at all. She was still a little angry. That stupid system. It clearly knew that she could not win against Tangua. But the side mission was triggered by Tangua. Couldn't it be changed to someone else? Was it because Tangua was the female lead, so it could only be triggered by her? Would she be able to compete with such a powerful person? Just as she was feeling smug about winning first place in the school's speech competition, she suddenly heard a voice. Tangua had already gone to the TV station to appear on a show. Not only did she participate in a formal TV program speech competition, but she also won first place. Comparing people to people was really infuriating. Did she compare more? Although she was a little unwilling, she did see Tangua's strength last night. Except for the fact that she didn't like Tangua, she recognized Tangua's ability. So this stupid system didn't have any idea how she could win against Tangua? Lin Man walked into the classroom with a dark face. No one noticed her this morning. All eyes in the class fell on Tanghua. They did not even bat an eyelid. Although Tanghua wasn't easy to get along with, anyone who watched the show now would proudly say that she was their classmate. Saying it out loud would make them feel proud. Tanghua was already outstanding in terms of her results and talents. Most of the students could not even be jealous of her. Peak. Chapter 3059. Even though in the eyes of her classmates, Tanghua wasn't easy to get along with. This morning, before the morning class started, a lot of people sneaked over and asked Tanghua if she was the one on TV, although they knew that it was her. Hearing her answer with their own ears was definitely different. Hearing Tanghua's faint nod in response, these students were a little excited. Especially when they saw how calm Tanghua was, they hurriedly stopped smiling. Student Tanghua was indeed capable of great things. Everyone said that the more capable a person was, the more talented they were. They had a weird temper to begin with. It was normal that they were not easy to get along with. It was said that people with super high IQ might have super low EQ. Weren't there some scientists and inventors in history who did not have high EQ, but they also contributed to mankind? So they should be tolerant. Although there were students who were secretly jealous, most of them still gathered around Tanghua and carefully asked her about her feelings about being on TV. In short, they just asked about things they did not know about the TV station. Tanghua's expression was cold, but she did not reject them and said a few simple words. She looked very cold, but she had already told them what they wanted to know. The students slowly realized that Tanghua was not that difficult to get along with. At least, they could communicate properly. She was not really unreasonable. Wasn't she just a little cold in her words and a little arrogant in her appearance? It was still acceptable. Lin Man was still immersed in the side mission that the system had assigned to her. She had long forgotten about Tanghua's performance on the TV show yesterday and was still thinking about this side mission. Should she do it? It was the midterm exam, and it was only half a month away. Could she win? Under normal circumstances, unless a miracle happened to her or something happened to Tanghua, there was no way she could win. Otherwise, it would be a fool's dream. In the end, Lin Man decided to cram at the last minute and read more books recently. What if she got lucky and won? She rubbed her head, and her gaze suddenly landed on Yen Geng. She remembered that Yen Geng's results were not bad. Perhaps she could ask him for advice. Even if Yen Geng's results were not as good as Tanghua's, they were still much better than hers. Congratulations. When the morning reading was about to begin, Lian Jian whispered to Tanghua, I didn't expect you to get the first place. Does this mean that in your heart, I won't get first place? Lian Jian. He wanted to explain, but the bell rang again. Classmate Tanghua must feel uncomfortable if she doesn't torment him for a day, right? Sure enough, it was morning again. This time, Tanghua didn't do it on purpose. After class, the head teacher called Tanghua to the office. After holding it in for so long, the form teacher could finally breathe a sigh of relief. The school already knew that Tanghua had won first place. This kind of thing that made the school proud must be publicized. After all, this program was very formal. The judges and hosts on it were also very talented and famous. It would be good if everyone knew about it. After a wave of publicity, there would definitely be outstanding students who would be more willing to choose their school. There were commendations and bonuses, and an honorary trophy would be even better. During the morning meeting, Tanghua was praised by the principal in front of all the students. She went up on stage to receive the award. It was a glorious scene. Lin Man felt a little jealous. At the same time, she knew that this was Tanghua's ability. Peak. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.